Slaying that jank. Hey guys, Trent here, coming at you with another Guilds of Ravnica spoiler news video. So the spoilers are coming out and they're pretty sweet. Got the new Vraska 4-drop revealed now. She seems alright. Nothing really crazy to talk about. Not a big hype. The one that I think is the most hype of the last couple days is this Nullhide Ferox, and that's what I want to talk about today. Kind of interesting, but it takes some evaluation. Of note, in regards to big, dumb, hex-proof animals, we got another one here in an uncommon slot, a 9-drop with Convoke. It's a 7/5 hex-proof. I'm not sure if that's going to make the cut either. But anyways, Nullhide Ferox is one I'm looking at because my thoughts on the potential upcoming new metagame when we get the post-rotation metagame is that I think one of the first decks I want to dive into is mono green again. I think it may be a good place to start out in the metagame. The question is what's the build going to be? Of course, we haven't seen all the spoilers yet, so we don't know if there's any other good green cards available to us or even anything worth splashing another color. I have considered maybe blue-green Stompy for the consideration of Hadana's Climb, because I was wondering if maybe in regards to mono green, if the more Boggle-esque build of mono green would be better in the new rotation. The Blanchwood armors, and then if we splash blue for the Hadana's Climb, would give us another evasion tactic with our hexproof creatures. So anyways, the Nullhide Ferox though is kind of an interesting card. I'm going to be honest with you, when I first looked at this card, you know, it's easy to misevaluate cards the first time you read them. The second line, you can't cast non-creature spells, I was thinking in my mind that nobody would be able to cast non-creature spells, so as like basically, I know that's ridiculous, but basically I was thinking once you cast this that like you and your opponent can no longer cast non-creature spells for the rest of the game, basically as long as it's on the battlefield. I realize that's way too powerful, so obviously reading it correctly, it's only you that can cast the non-creature spells, so that makes more sense. Or actually, going back to what my misreading, I was thinking that, you know, if your opponent wanted to cast a non-creature spell, they would have to pay the 2 mana to turn off Nullhide's abilities. But anyways, that's not how it goes. So anyways, you get a 6/6 for 4 without trample. It does have hexproof, but then it turns off your ability to cast the non-creature spells. Anybody can pay 2 to get rid of his abilities, and it does have that additional nice come into play if it gets discarded ability that could be relevant in standard from time to time, especially if Nicol Bolas makes a comeback. That would be sweet to put in one of these into play off of Nicol Bolas trigger. Anyways, the question is does it have a place? In my opinion, the question is, does it have a place in an upcoming mono green build? So I pulled up Saffron Olive's Boggle Horse Green that he utilized for one of his videos that he took from another person's deck that had some success in the standard metagame. The main thing I'm thinking about this Nullhide Ferox is that I think Vinemare is just in general where you want to be at over the Ferox. So the question is if there's room for Ferox, if there's a room for additional copies of a 4-drop hexproof slot, basically. Because I think Vinemare, with its built-in natural evasion to black creatures and its hexproof that can't be turned off, and its power and toughness stats are still good enough, I think, especially if we're considering running it in a Boggle strategy that has Blanchwood armor and, well, just Blanchwood armor now, and possibly Hadana's Climb is what I was thinking. I think that's the number one target you want to be able to hit with your Blanchwood armors and Hadana's Climb triggers every time. I guess now the question is, since we're losing Ronos and Bristling Hydra and everything, do we want to try running extra copies of a 4-drop hexproof in the form of Nullhide Ferox? Some kind of build like this with maybe some Thorn Lieutenants in the mix and possibly some Ferox is where I think I want to try out. Let me know what you guys think. Is it worth it to add that card in? Is it powerful enough, or do we just have plenty of good enough stuff for this kind of strategy already. One thing about potentially the blue splash for the Hadana's Climb is once the climb is resolved, let's say, we could then cast our Ferox, and we don't care about the non-creature spells as much because we can still put our Hadana's Climb counters and activate Hadana's Climb once it's flipped on the Nullhide Ferox and give it flying. So, and also another important thing. By the way, I would, in the version that I would run as well, I would go ahead and put the Galtas in, I think. And that's another good point, is that Ferox is quite the Galta enabler as well, because it adds 6 power for 4 mana. So I think that's quite relevant. It's a really tricky card, and I'm thinking maybe I want to try it out as a 2-of, just a couple extra additional 4-drops that have virtual hexproof. So let me know what you think about this card in general. Is it going to be a powerhouse? Does it warrant its pre-release price here of $15 in paper? Is it going to be too much of a drawback to turn off your non-creature spells, and too much of a drawback that your opponent can pay 2 mana and then kill it with a removal spell, including the new Assassin's Trophy? Hope you enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and together let's sling some jank.